Hey, welcome to Theology Live. And we're talking about becoming comfortable with sex talk. What a topic this week, right? There's something that we can do as youth leaders to become more adept at the conversation of sex and sexuality. So that is our discussion this week. Yeah, so hang on, right? Listen, leaders ask me all the time how they can become confident at discussing sex and sexuality with their students. Trust me, the students can tell whether we know what we're talking about or not, whether we're prepared or not. True? True. Listen, it definitely is uncomfortable and it takes work, but you can do a few things that will help you become confident in discussing difficult topics like sex and sexuality. You know the age-old argument. You know, we talk about this all the time, that some leaders will live in this content is king world. Okay, content is king world. Always something to say, but no one to say it to. Okay, where we focus on content. There are other leaders, maybe on the other hand, who live in the context as king world. Okay, always a crowd, but nothing to say to them. You know, if we're always just too cool and worried about context, so we don't have anything to say. But this is, of course, an oversimplification of content and context, okay, of the two concepts. But really, ultimately, I don't think that you can separate them. I don't think that you can separate content and context, because I believe they are both king and queen in a marriage, okay, that if you're going to do youth ministry effectively, then and accomplish youth ministry well, then you have to understand that both content and context are working together in a beautiful marriage. And then youth ministry is done at its best, okay? It is in this marriage where our approach to the message, the message, and teenagers, the relationship, the context, yields the greatest fruit. The church must take its message into the masses and not expect the masses to come to us on that difficult and long journey for them. Okay, that's very difficult for them. So we have to approach them with both content and context. Our language must be both grace and truth, not one or the other. Grace is love and relationship. Okay, and truth is love and theology. Okay, and they go hand in hand. Content and context. Okay, grace and truth, or king and queen, the inseparable marriage. Okay, so listen, we must look this world in the eye. We must look this world in the eye and tell them the truth in love. Okay, so looking at the world of teens today, man, how do we have this discussion? How do we even know what to say? The conversations that take place regularly between teens and their peers and teens and culture is dizzying. The context of teenagers is a crazy and wild world. And the teenagers, listen, they're not having the discussion with their parents, and they're not having it with youth leaders in the church because we're not having that discussion. So they're getting their theology and their framework from their peers and culture. And that's not good. Pure theology is not good, and culture is not theology. So what do we do as youth leaders? We to have these healthy conversations. I think we have to understand some important things. First of all, I want you to look at the world teenagers are growing up in. Have you seen it lately? Have you seen some of the findings are remarkable. The findings are crazy. 77% of students feel physical, mental, or verbal abuse in high school. More than 3/4. The third leading cause of death between the ages of 15 and 24 is suicide, stirred on by bullying. 1 in 3 girls is abused by a boyfriend. 1 in every 200 teens is doing self-harm, cutting in some case like that, way like that. Listen, almost 16 million students live in a home where a parent is being physically abused. And then this is scary. Gen Z has the largest number of atheists in the history of America, more than any other generational set. 76% of Christian teens believe that gender is your birth sex. I mean, think about that. That gender is their birth sex. But only 48% of teens in their world, Gen Z general, believe that. Okay? Listen, the context that these teenagers live in must be understood. It must be understood. So when it comes to both culture and scripture, we have to be able to bring that message to them effectively. And that comes with relationship with the teen culture, understanding the teen culture. Youth leaders we must be diligent at doing work in both our theology and our sociology. Both. Theology and sociology will give us authority in their life. That's the content, theology, and the context, culture. Okay? That culture, all right? Sociology. So, listen, here are some steps that you can take to be comfortable with the sex talk, okay? I'm going to give you a few here, all right? And we'll blog these too. Number one, do you know their world? Get up to date on their music, their movies, their language. What are their causes that they're into? Their social media, the 411. Understand what's going on in their culture. Okay, number two, do you know your students? Find out about their hobbies, their school situation, their jobs, their sports team, how their team is doing. That affects their personality and their attitude. What about their family situation? Do you understand what's going on in their home? Do you understand that maybe that's the reason why they are how they are? Because of the stress in their home? That will help you tremendously. Do you know their parents? Okay, number three, wait for you to have a better sex talk, comfortability. Are you current in field? We should be speaking with other youth leaders. Find out what is common. What's going on in youth ministry by talking to other youth leaders around the country. That will help you tremendously. Becoming current in field. Number four, am I listening to students and hearing how they feel or think about something? Instead of doing more talk as youth leaders, we need to become better at asking questions. Questions about their home, about their friends, about their team, about their homework, their dreams. Students love to talk about their dreams. Yeah, okay, number five. When is the last time you told your students that you love them? You want to get better at having this conversational talk with sex and sexuality? I don't mean just a passing statement. I mean you've told them that you love them. Deep, heartfelt declaration of your love for them. That will give you a passion. An unconditional love will give you a passion to have this discussion and get you past the uncomfortability of it. It really will. Number six, we need to understand the terminology. Listen, all those other things are powerful. Those will help you practically, but we have to understand the terminology in the discussion. Our students are living in an ever-changing world when it comes to sexuality. They know the terms, the language, the latest on sexuality every week. They know what's going on. With everything changing in their world, if they know what's going on, youth leaders need to understand also. So we must stay current and be able to guide our students through this mess. So how do we stay current? How do we stay up to date with terminology? Okay, I want to give you just a few quick things that will help you with this. Number one, follow the students on social media and watch what is happening in their life and in the threads. I love to read the threads on teenagers' social media. Okay, here's another one. Take one day a month, listen to pop music, and you'll see where the language is coming from. Okay, read and watch the IMDb shorts. Have you ever seen those IMDb shorts on movies and series, all the series that teenagers are watching? This is a great follow-up, site to their music. Here's some things to follow. Barna, ThoughtCo, Teen Vogue, Pew, AMA, Journal of Ethics, TED, Time Magazine. Listen, you can stay current on culture by just doing some of those things that will help you feel more comfortable. Every youth leader should have a basic understanding of these two terms. Finally, let me just finish this: binary and non-binary. The non-binary view of sexuality is prevalent today. It's a mathematic term that means more than two. You know that. Non-binary, it's like, as it relates to sexuality, it's a cultural viewpoint that adds a third or many ways to the definition. It is evolving, transitional viewpoints of male and female. It allows for and introduces like other options instead of what is considered biblical design, which takes me to that last area, the binary view. Sexuality, it's still a mathematical term, but the binary is used for just two symbols in an equation, okay? Male and female as it relates to sexuality. It is the scriptural viewpoint, not the cultural viewpoint of non-binary, but the scriptural viewpoint that is derived from the Bible. Many of the verses we've talked about, and I'll put them in the notes. And it is a design and a purpose sexuality that it's not changing, okay? So we have to be able to understand the terminology and to speak the language of the day. Man, hopefully some of these things have helped you prepare so that you feel more comfortable. I know it's not easy. It's not easy. But if you do just a few things, it will become easier. I don't want to have the answers to the questions nobody is asking. That's irrelevance. To have the answers to the questions nobody's asking. And if we want to build a youth ministry that is healthy and relevant to teenagers, we have to deal with these questions that teenagers have, because this is what they're asking. Okay? You can get this resource, you can watch this, read this, listen to this. Go to our socials, go to the link tree, and you can follow us there. Or you can go to the website, youthology.com, and you can get all of the resources there also. The blog will be there, and this manuscript will be there also. So listen, thank you again for joining us on a very difficult topic.